welcome to Miss Martin Muses and another night of pub crawl. Yes, precious, we are back. We are back, and our special guest tonight is none other than all the way from the future, the Viking, the man, the legend himself, STIG KENOBI.
Hi.
Hi, how's the future?
It was dark outside.
Mm,
I'm
okay.
in the northern hemisphere, so it's 10:04 p.m. Sun has been down for quite a few hours,
Yeah.
and it's getting chilly.
Yep. Well, you all get darkness like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's crazy.
Uh, yes, it's nuts,
Mm-hmm.
but we do what we can.
Yeah, you got the northern lights though, so that's actually satisfactory.
Today we have a big, half moon, as we call it, really big now.
Damn it.
I guess it's closer,
Yeah,
or
lucky
is it a
bastard.
moon, or is it a space station?
That's
We'll
no
find out.
moon.
As long as it fires at Sweden, I'm fine.
Oh, ouch. Well, hopefully you can only destroy a country and not the entire continent. That would
Yeah.
suck to be you. But
Yeah,
speaking
well,
of
actually, that would be bad because of all the soy vapors in the atmosphere, right?
it'll turn you into a girl.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the future, we also have someone else from the future in the chat. It is European Lore. Hello, welcome to Miss Martin Muses. He's over there at a bit of a lower latitude, so he doesn't get.
Yeah, he's down there more central Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they got good stuff going on there. They
Yes.
got rid of those bastard communists.
Yeah, and he's doing some. What was it? Tolkien translations he had done.
Yes, I think it was for the Hobbit.
Yeah, excellent work. That's more than what most people have done in their lives. So that's a big feather in his hat.
Exactly. He's a real author. And he also has works too, but they're all in Czech, so I wouldn't understand them. But he promised
Yeah,
he
but
might.
I don't understand the language, so I can't check it out.
Oh, that Slavic fella.
Yeah, Slavic fellow.
Yes. And actually, though, he promised, I'm holding you to this, European Lore, the one in English for people like me who can't read any of those languages. But I'm really looking forward to it. And he's fighting a good fight, keeping alive the European lore, reviewing good comics. He's the only one that I personally know of that's been really pushing, besides us, the Conan stuff. And so, he's got so I'm
Yeah.
really happy to see that. He has some really good insights.
I called it too on streams that this new Conan run was going to do well because with the superhero stuff being in trouble, it's left a void,
Mm-hmm.
for good content to fill up, and Conan seems to have done that to some extent. And there's going to be more because the Savage Sword of Conan is being brought back in March, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's going to be in black and white like it used to be. They had one of the same cover artists as well on board. So that's the really good Conan stuff that people remember. So if it's brought back right, we have a winner, I think.
Yes.
Especially among those of us with barbaric leanings, like
Yeah.
me and European lore.
Yeah, you guys are actually more you're closer to that than we're just barbaric in a different way. We just don't have culture over here. But yeah, and not to mention Solomon Kane. They're going to do some Solomon Kane.
Yes,
So yes.
so Solomon Kane is returning as well. I don't think that'll make as big a bang as Conan because Conan is bigger and more well known.
Mm-hmm.
But fingers crossed.
Yep. Well, and if you saw issue 2, there's more than one big bang. It is very adult. They have not tried to dumb it down or take away the sex, so it's definitely not for children, kids. There's some nudity as well, but that of course ties in with what our topic's going to be. But before we go deeper
Oh,
into
we're going to talk about nudity.
oh no
I was not informed of this.
Oh gosh, yeah. But just know there are good comics out there. There are good new comics out there.
Yeah.
More good than not good. So go to your LCS and see what you can find. I'm excited because tomorrow the newest Conan comes out, episode number 5, which is a new arc. So I'm gonna pick that up in the store. Now we also have Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective. Hello, Tommy. Thank you for being here. Talk about a man that really knows his stuff and nostalgia with his toy collecting. So check out his channel. Tommy, please feel free to put your link in the chat. And it's Salty Traveling Sea. So good to see you. Are you traveling this week? Maybe you are because it is.
Oh, he is. That's why we rarely catch him.
Oh,
he's always moving.
Yeah. True. No, great to see you. Hit that like button for the Divine Teresa and our favorite time traveling Viking Stig. Yes.
Yes. Great Scott.
And look who it is. It's Trey Courtney. Hello. Great to see you. And yay, it's Soul Assassin. People are saying what up. I'll have something English for next. Oh, yep. I jinx. I think I'm behind a little bit in the chat. What up, Soul? Soul Assassin says, I remember a few years back, I was at SXSW in Austin, and they had a Conan art exhibit that was cool, but the art was expensive. Oh, I'll bet it is. Yeah. Gosh,
he remembers it. That proves it was memorable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had the pleasure of taking my sister with me to the Robert E. Howard Museum. It is in the middle of nowhere because that man lived in the middle of nowhere, and it is literally a town with just one street and one stoplight even today. But I got to go there and see all his home and all the artifacts, and I got some Solomon Kane art and a little statue. It's just such good stuff. We love Conan here at Miss Martin Muses. European lore says, beside the Zim Zub Conan, I recommend the European Cimmerian, translated into English and published by Ablaze, uncensored, and contains full Robert E. Howard stories at the back. Oh my gosh!
Yes, it's you can buy a boxed edition now with all of them in, I think.
Holy crap! Well, I will look that up because I'm going to be having some Christmas.
I've told you about it. You ignored it.
Oh well, see, you tell me about 1,000 things a day.
Yes.
I'll need to open up a file for it, but I'm sure I mispronounced it. But yes, thank you. Thank you for that. It's oh, hello, it is Biggles. What up, Biggles? Boobs. Yes, you will see boobs. They are drawn boobs, but they are boobs. Oh, thank you, Soul Assassin, for putting the link and everyone subbing to everybody.
Everyone go and sub to Tommy. He's top of the line retro toy channel. Mm-hmm. And he knows his stuff. Same with Vinny Art and Trina. They all know their stuff. Adega as well was actually a novelist. Did you know this, Teresa?
No, I did not.
He has written sci-fi books. Apparently, they're very good.
Oh, are they available on Amazon?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll check those out. Yeah. And you can find my work, but you'll never find it. Yeah, essays also everywhere. But yeah, a lot of real writers out there. I was going to say something snarky, but I'm not going to say it. Oh gosh, you're also. I'll say it for Stig. Stig is also a real published author, as well.
Yeah, but it's not in print anymore. But
it's not. Oh.
No.
Oh yeah, you're right. Because you had to send it to me, didn't you? Yeah. But Stig's written several things. My stuff's still in print. But, and yeah, it's been in, 25, 30 years? Gosh, wait, am I that old? No, it was 25 years ago, for 25 years in print. Soul Assassin, are Ablaze still doing the Conan comics? I had the 4 hardcover books. They are done, worth buying. I
don't know. I'm assuming if it was a big success, they're going to continue it, though.
Yeah. From what I understand, Titan Comics or whoever has it, they now hold the rights to new stuff, but I don't know how it goes with older things. especially because a lot of Robert E. Howard stuff is in the public domain.
Yes.
Yeah. But there, for some reason, and I don't understand it, some guy at the Robert E. Howard Museum celebration explained it to me how some of the movie studios have special rights to Conan, for example. And I think they also have it to Solomon Kane, but it's a little
It's
more
a
ridiculous.
Swedish guy who owns it,
Okay. Yeah. Oh, thank
Frederick Malmberg.
Mhm. Okay. Tommy says Barnes and Noble and Amazon. Oh, lots of links here in the chat. Vega says Dark Fantasy 2, Barnes and Noble. Oh, has them. Okay, Jinx. Be snarky. Snark is good. No, I'm gonna go to. No, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. I'll say it privately because yeah, I'm a backstabber. Oh, everyone's saying hello. Oh, I need to read that. Are you talking about Odega? Adega? Okay, there we go. Yeah, Soul Assassin rousing cheers. Apparently, says European lore, the copyright rules differ in Europe and USA. Don't know the details though. Okay, thank you.
This is true.
Yeah.
Since the Robert E. Howard stuff is public domain, you can actually read the Robert E. Howard stories on YouTube as an audiobook, and they can't claim your channel for it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe one day I'll do that. But gosh, some of that stuff is earthy. Even for being written in the 1930s, it was dirty stuff. It was racy. Oh, he's talking about yours and Stig's work. Oh, okay. Well,
I knew there was one person out there that wanted to read my shit.
I read it.
There had to be one, and he was found in the Czech Republic. Imagine that. No,
Yeah.
kidding. It's I used to write lore and do world building for a role playing game company.
Yeah. So you did. Is it modules the right word? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess they're modules or world books, whatever you want, campaign settings, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, in my stuff, well, my big stuff is actually religious. So I don't know if that's someone's cup of tea in history. But some of my fairy tale lore is still available on a website. And actually, the rights did revert to me on those. That's why I've been cheating and using them to make some of my videos, some of my fairy tale lore videos. I've just used those as scripts. But thank you. I really do appreciate that, European lore. Nice. Okay. Thank you for all these links. No wonder Stig is quick with the puns and insult. He's a former lore writer. Yeah. I love it.
Well, I don't know. Not that quick. I'm slowing down. The puns are getting worse and the insults are getting harsher.
Though my issue,
the once sharp blade has been dulled. I need to hack harder with it.
What makes me doubt, the only time I've ever doubted my belief in God is when I realized that you have the gift to speak English better than I do and to write in your second language better than I do. I could not write in my second language the way you write in English or speak it.
Well, it's just practice, you know. I think it was third grade when we started learning English in school, but we had already learned some by then, because back then stuff wasn't dubbed, so we had cartoons on the TV and whatever with subtitles. So if you learn how to read somewhat, you'll pick up on which word means what, right? By simply watching, Transformers or whatever it was. And then, reading books in English helps. And then, video games. Back in the day, we had those adventure games. They're point and click adventure games now, but back then they were parser games. So you had to type commands, right? So you pick up items and use the items to solve puzzles to advance the story. King's Quest and Space Quest, stuff like that. So, and if kids get an interest in getting through a video game, they're gonna learn English if that's what it needs, right?
Yeah, it's an incentive. That's
Yes.
obviously why. Yeah. Oh, oh, Adiga Outlaw even has a website, and it's Magitech or Magitech rather. Hi, I will be lurking, finishing up work. Oh well, thank you for being here, everybody. Yeah, Magitech. She's been on Pub Crawl before. Also, I'm trying to nab her for a Catholic Explaining Advent. I think I DM'd you about it, but we had a lot of stuff going on because yeah, we're about ready to get to that time of year when everyone puts up their Christmas stuff 4 weeks too early, and that's why I love what Steve's
It's
told me about his hometown.
well, traditionally, where I'm from, you put up the Christmas uh, tree on the 23rd, which we call the Little Christmas Eve, day before Christmas.
Yep.
That's when we put it up, and then we would take it down a little after New Year's.
January 6th. Oh, that link is broken. Yeah. Now, I'm a little more hardcore because it's not Christmas until Christmas Eve, which is the anticipation for Christmas. So, sundown on Christmas Eve is when all that stuff comes up, though I put it up in the morning of Christmas Eve. And it really is fun if you do it properly. And I'll talk about that on the stream because you don't get Christmas fatigue. It's really a good way to do it. And
Yeah,
then you
there's nothing special about it if you celebrate it for half the year.
yeah.
No?
Yeah, like I said, yeah, like Mariah Carey said, yes, and then you celebrate it for 10 days or 12 days rather, the 12 days of Christmas. Oh, that's okay. It was in the middle of it. I'll catch you, Magitech. Yeah, didn't mean to catch you off guard or put you on the hot seat. European Lord says, I got some extra Gremlins figure to put into the tree and scare everyone in the house. I love it. I love
Excellent.
it. I love it. My tree is up. Judge me. I am pointing the finger of judgment.
Yes. You just lost 15 respect points there, Mr. Salty. I'll give you a reason to be salty as well, sir.
Oh, dear. Oh, my goodness. Christmas is year round. Well, I know, yes. And I've given you hell for that, Biggles. He still wears this Santa hat. Halloween is the best holiday. Actually, Halloween is loads of fun. Everyone's yapping back and forth, connecting NECA. I'm going to sound really ignorant.
It's the producer of the those really detailed figures.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I make a lot of mine actually, because I crochet little things. Let's see. This has been a great conversation, great chat and everything. We haven't even gotten to our pub. Where are we meeting tonight? Stig, tell us all about the place of our gathering.
Renee's Cafe from the old sitcom Allo Allo from the 80s. A very based and not very politically correct sitcom from back in the day. Mm-hmm. It would have been canceled today, I think.
Oh, it wouldn't have even gotten on the air.
Yes, but I grew up with it, and I still think it's one of the best sitcoms ever written because they're really well written. It's a farcical kind of comedy, a bit like what you'll see in Monty Python and Fawlty Towers, kind of. Very much character driven, I guess.
Farce is a good word. It's just hilarious. It's always a comedy of errors, misunderstandings, a lot of physical comedy.
Yes, and it works. I mean, I'd say all the characters are perfectly cast in it, which when it comes to comedy shows and all that, the casting can make or break a show.
Yeah. And part of the reason why it would never work today, for starters, it's got a bunch of yacht scenes. It is during the French occupation, and Renee...
Or the German occupation of France.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
The French didn't do it to themselves. Well, they should, but...
I'm the worst historian ever. Well, technically, some people in Alsace call it French occupied Alsace, but that's a whole other story for another day. Yes, when the Yahtzees were there, and so there's Rene, who's caught between some French resistance people who want to use him and his pub upstairs, a wireless operator thing to work with the English resistance. There's some English pilots that got shot down that are trying to get back to England.
Yeah, a lot of the plot has to do with them trying to come up with all kinds of inane schemes
Mm-hmm.
to get the British airmen back to England.
Yes.
One involved making a hot air balloon out of women's knickers.
Yes. And then, of course, they've got the two silly Yahtzees and a woman who's in love with this Gestapo one who is just like the guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he's like a real evil one, and everyone else is terrified of him. And then there's one of the Yahtzees who is actually secretly gay. I mean, it's just awful when you think about it because the
Oh, and
ramifications.
yeah, and Rene, the cafe owner, rents out his waitresses as prostitutes to the Germans, so they'll give him butter and paraffin and whatever he needs.
You're right. And he's also sleeping with all of them.
Yes, in front of his wife, who falls for every lame excuse there is.
Yeah. She also has a mother upstairs who is bedridden. That's where they hide their wireless operator.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. Trey, I've told you, start watching this. You're going to love it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. European lore says British comedies with their hyperbole fueled humor, sarcasm, and the absurd are the finest kind of comedy. Darn right.
Yes, I cannot recommend this show enough. Maybe especially today when people need to laugh at political correctness a bit extra, I think.
Mm-hmm.
This might be a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, not too stuck up, not too. Well, have a stick it up your butt. Get that stick out of your butt, everybody.
They make fun of the Germans, the French, the English, and everyone.
No one is safe.
Yeah.
My personal favorite part, I do not believe this is a spoiler, is a bunch of chickens spontaneously blow up because they ate nitroglycerin.
Yeah,
And
they
you just
accidentally put nitroglycerin in their in the bird seeds, basically.
and you just see the chickens just blowing up and feathers flying everywhere.
Yeah, they blew up when they laid the eggs.
Yes, it was wrong, but so friggin' funny. So it'll put a smile on your face. Check it out. Yes, do. Sticks away from my butt. Well, that's good to know. They're big holes. Yeah. So that is where we are meeting. There is going to be French wine, cheese, and sausage. Lots of jokes about the sausage.
Yes.
In this. But what Steve decided to talk about was nostalgia. We had some trouble kind of coming up with maybe what might be a good title for this, and finally it's like, yeah, a philosophical discussion of nostalgia and what it means, a retrospective, why it's important and maybe not as worthy of ridicule as it often is. I don't know. I just want to kind of hand the mic over to you.
Well, it's we live in an age now where convenience is very normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can have streaming service apps on our phones and watch our favorite movies whenever we want to, wherever we are. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think with that convenience, which, you know, it's natural to make use of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll think, oh yeah, I want to watch I don't know, Jaws again. I'm bored, and then you know you watch Jaws on the phone while you're out in the forest or something. But I also think with that convenience, we lose something, which is, I think, the appreciation that we used to have when we went to a video rental place with friends or family and picked out movies together. And then you paid for that specific movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you watched it over the weekend or whatever it was. And even though it probably wasn't even the best movie, because it was a lot of guesswork back then, right?
Mm.
Usually in the 80s, if you rented an Eddie Murphy movie, you were pretty much safe because he could do no wrong in the 80s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But so if you look at, people listing up their favorite movies, right? Quite often, a lot of the movies aren't good. Objectively, they're not well written or anything, but it's still people's favorite movies. And it's because of things like that. They watch, Crocodile Dundee 2 or something 50 times with their grandparents because they had it or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes an association and an imprint in our childhood memories in a positive way. Does that make sense?
Positively, wasn't it gold when someone got a hold of something bootlegged like my granddaddy might have done with Star Wars? We were the only kids who had Star Wars on video in 1979. We were
Yeah,
friggin' heroes.
yeah. And up here in Norway, movies were censored. They censored out a lot of the violent scenes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly Indiana Jones 2 was censored quite a bit when they ripped the heart out and all that. So if you had the uncensored version, you got street cred. Holy crap, did you get street cred,
Yeah.
right? Because you had the version that was, illegal to watch, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I like what you said about the guesswork that would happen because you didn't have the internet to look up things. You couldn't text your friends and say, "Have you seen this?" So you would only have the back of the VCR cassette. And
Oh, I'll tell you one thing. Nobody read what was at the back of it. We looked at the cover because if you look at VHS tape covers back in the 80s, they had great artwork. You had a big buff guy with a headband and a massive machine gun, right?
mm-hmm.
So when you're a kid and you see that, it's like, oh, this is absolutely awesome. Look at that. That's in the movie. Quite often it wasn't, but you fell for it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a bit like the lost art of making book covers as well. I think is in the same alley as movie covers.
Yeah. I just remember a lot of them would have these Swedish looking models with incredibly big boobs, practically porn on some of those covers. Like
Yeah,
for the
Swedes
movie.
Swedes don't look like that. They're hideous. They were probably Norwegian.
Oh, okay. Never mind. But you know what I'm talking about? The ones that were really low budget, they would often put those also on their
Yeah,
covers.
yeah.
Yeah. Soul Assassin says cover art is 90% of the sell works for albums, comics, and films. True. Or
Yeah,
it did, rather. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. And I remember the debate because that was back when you kind of pooled your money. You had maybe some coins, you had $1 here and there. And there was just so much negotiation. And if you went to Blockbuster, this was a difference when Blockbuster introduced this, when they started having snacks that they also sold at the store. Before, video stores didn't do that.
Yeah, we had they sold snacks and stuff at our video stores as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it happened a few times though. If someone put their foot down and goes, "Yeah, we're going to watch this movie," And if that one turned out to be a shit one, that person was, you know, a little bit unpopular for a while.
Everyone will laugh at you. Everyone will laugh at you. Well, one part of nostalgia for me is the library card, because of course I was a big book reader. The joy of waiting for a book to come in, like if it wasn't there, it just wasn't there. So you had to go on a wait list and you'd come back in to check to see if it was back behind there with your name. But that would also include videos, because that was another way to get videos, was to wait and wait and wait for them at the library.
I used to borrow graphic novels and such at the library, Asterix and stuff like that. They had a lot of those. They never had single comics. It's just those big album ones, and also rented a bit of. I think it was Davy Crockett, Davy Crockett books and Robin Hood stuff. They had some of that.
Yes. European lore says some people would like film covers made by AI today. Yay. Well, don't get me started on to what I think you're referring, because I think it is very retardando what some people are saying about AI art being art.
AI are like Twitch thoughts. They might look good, but they have no soul.
Exactly. And in many cases, one could even argue if it's something that someone creates. But I'm not.
Yeah.
Boy, it's ridiculous. Actually, I think it's drama farming, some of what we've been seeing on that, because no one could be that stupid. Or
I don't know. They can.
Yeah. Well, and so since Alola was an 80s show, there is something to be said about the nostalgia level of it. It's nostalgia for the 40s. It's nostalgia for the old way of doing comedy back when people weren't so uptight. And for you, it has an association because you actually watched it when you were younger. I've only recently watched it when you told me about it, because I don't think it was as popular in the United States.
No, the United States was pretty much the only place it wasn't, because worldwide it was one of the highest watched shows in the world at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But I get it though, because the United States had a lot of sitcoms back in the 80s, so they probably the channels went with their own stuff,
Yes, and I might have been on PBS, I don't know, but also the humor, it might have been a bit too weird for the censors too back then.
It's like, do we approve this or not? Because some people might be touchy about it, but I would say, well, you just started watching it. Would you agree if I said it's actually aged quite well?
Oh, I think it has. I laughed my butt off. I've watched some with my dad. My dad laughed his butt off too. My mom's sitting there going, "That's not funny." I was like, "Well, whatever." My mom doesn't like comedy though, so she's a stick in the mud there. Well, especially the gay guy. I mean, it sounds terrible, okay, but
he's one of the best characters in the show. Easily.
Yes, exactly, and it's not the way you would imagine it. Just some of the lines that he does and that he delivers are just so good. It's amazing character. And not to give anything away, but apparently there has been some retrospective about what was really going on. I think they did a reunion episode or a reunion tour.
They did a stage show.
A stage show, okay.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Yeah. And again, keeping with this whole idea of nostalgia, I think one of the ones that is so iconic for me is Star Wars. Especially the character of Luke Skywalker, but Luke, Han, and Leia. But this moment in A New Hope It stuck with the whole planet. It was a combination of everything Luke Skywalker was, but also everything Star Wars was about. And the music, John Williams' theme there, it's something that means things to people. And we've seen with what they did in The Last Jedi, particularly with Jake. And
Yes. Well, it's like I mentioned earlier, people have childhood memories of this. You know, they grew up with this. It's a positive experience imprinted deeply into their childhood memories, right? It's something they look back on fondly. I think when people have childhood trauma,
mm-hmm.
it's imprinted in them and often associated with something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you have something positive imprinted in you, it's the flip side of that, right? So Tolkien's term eucatastrophe, in a way, would apply because you have something really really good that you associate with, like you said, this scene,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when people say that the Last Jedi or whatever it is ruined their childhood, right? That is hyperbole, definitely, because it's they're taking it a bit far. But if you retroactively, in a way, alter a deep childhood memory or the impression of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That new stuff will imprint itself over that, and it'll, in some people's cases, taint it. Because you can't unsee the bad. Some people can, they can just go, oh yeah, I don't care about that, so it doesn't exist, right? Not everyone's wired like that, because
Precisely.
a lot of people are just, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. And I think it doesn't do any physical harm to anyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But memories and childhood memories in particular are a big part of who you are. So
Yes.
when someone alters that, in a way, messes up your impressions and memories, it's like someone has, in a way, stepped on something that's personal to you.
Mm-hmm.
Am I making sense?
Well, absolutely made sense, especially when you hear people share their stories about Star Wars. There were people that came back from Vietnam, for example, and they were shit on, and everyone was like, "You suck," and
Yeah,
patriotism was dead, and all of that. And then they went and saw Star Wars, and it brought back that old feeling of the whole Flash Gordon thing, and the fact that good will win, and gave people like a little bit of hope, even some patriotism, if you will, something to celebrate instead of something to crap on.
or rather something, and also something to aspire to
Mm-hmm.
as well. And when they then turn that into something nihilistic, right? You'll
Mm-hmm.
watch this scene and go, "Oh yeah, this is great. Luke is going on the adventure and blah blah blah," and then you see the new stuff, and yeah, he dies like a hobo on a cliff. You know, he never mattered because Palpatine's still alive too. You know, so it, and I'm thinking people need to be careful about watching the Rings of Power because they need to learn from what happened with Star Wars, how that messed up their impressions of Star Wars, because it can happen with Tolkien stuff too, so very easily. And I've seen a lot of people say the same about Marvel, because they're doing all kinds of stuff with Marvel now as well, and the DC stuff, and the comics are tanking, you know. But it's Star Wars. The damage has been done. It's um, I'm kind of lucky though, because I can enjoy the old stuff still, but not everyone can. You know, for some people, it has done permanent, irreparable damage. So I think maybe people should let it serve as a warning, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want this to happen again, uh, don't risk watching, the Rings of Power, or something like that. You know?
No, good point. Because I did not watch Rings of Power, though I might be in a place where I do want to objectively look at it. But when it came out, when I saw the first trailer, I knew I can't, because people wanted me to be on, of course, to review it. And when I say, of course, well, that sounded snobby, but you know what I mean? Like the people that were in my circle, it's like that were, and I said, I can't psychologically, also considering what was also going on in my real life. See, that's the other thing, is that when we say that these things are escapism, it doesn't mean that we're getting away from our problems in life. But
No, it gives you a little. It gives your mind a little vacation. So, because if you've gone through a shit week,
mm-hmm,
like a really bad week, then you pick up a fantasy book. Let's say, you pick up The Hobbit, right?
mm-hmm,
And you read The Hobbit for an hour. Your mind is then on a vacation to Middle Earth for that hour,
yeah,
and that hour will relieve you of a lot of stress, because you're not focusing on the real world where the problems are.
exactly. And some of the characters, some things that they'll say might make you feel better. The whole line from Gandalf, all who have been through such times think that, I wish this had never happened, but all we have to do is decide what to do with the time that is given us. Harry Potter, you have Dumbledore in the movie version of the third one, The Prisoner of
Well,
Azkaban, when he says, when it's dark, maybe if you just remember to turn on the light. And that sounds so simple,
yes.
but
Well,
it
yes. Your favorite book
mhm,
is that light.
mhm,
Your favorite video game, your favorite movie, something.
mhm,
And I think it's very easy to blame it all on the people who are, in your opinion, doing damage, right?
mhm,
But it's a bit our own fault too, because the warnings are there, and yet we can't look away. You have to
mhm.
look, you have to peek, and then that's when the damage happens. If you can't um, unsee it, you know.
Yeah.
And I saw Salty Texan mentioning he walked away from season 2 of The Wheel of Time. Um,
Yeah, so
yes,
STIG is articulating why I walked away mid-season 2 of The Wheel of Time and Rings of Power as well. It's psychic
yes.
poison. That's a great way of putting it.
And I think I said this to Salty. He asked if I wanted to be on a Wheel of Time stream, and I told him I'm not watching it, because The Wheel of Time is most likely my favorite fantasy book series, and I had got my fingers burned from Star Wars and a couple of other things, so I was thinking I'm not doing this time, you know.
Hmm. Well, I did a mini review of just watching the casting after having read the first book, and I'm now on the second book. It was
Yeah,
it was laughable almost. I mean,
Yes.
it was luckily they were so different from what I imagined. I think there was one character that was really who I imagined. It was like the redheaded princess
Well,
chick.
it's the same in the Witcher. The only ones they got kind of right was Geralt and Ciri.
Hmm.
That's I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So luckily it didn't ruin anything, at least by looking at the pictures, because there was nothing to ruin. But why we've already known what it did to us with Star Wars. And when we say that we can still enjoy it, I know you can, but I'm only now slowly getting to where I can enjoy it again. I mean, it's taken a long time because when when I watch it, it just makes me so mad to know what
Yes,
they
and
did.
yes, and it's just we all choose what we focus on, right? You know, your focus determines your reality.
Yeah.
You know, but but
True.
it's very hard not to look.
Hmm.
You know,
Yep.
I've watched stuff I knew I shouldn't watch. You know, granted, I didn't pay for it. I went on the high seas, but still, I watched. And when you watch, you're inviting the damage in. It's your own damn fault,
Yeah.
right?
And we
So
know
it's not all Hollywood's fault. We have some personal responsibility here as well. I think, if I'm being fair.
true, but it is a fact that what we see with our eyes is more indelible than maybe what we might read. While we might have an emotional reaction to a book, it is science that what you see does stick. It's like a photograph.
Yes,
Yeah.
um, but I think we've, as a society, um, when it comes to that stuff, the convenience I mentioned
Hmm.
plays a part in this because we can just go on YouTube and look at that one terrible scene or whatever it is, and then
True.
we're exposed to it. It only takes seconds, you know.
Hmm.
And I also think that with all that convenience, we have uh, we have also gotten a way to vent our frustrations on social media, which also takes a few seconds, right?
Hmm.
Which is something we couldn't do back in the day. You know, if a movie was shit, it was shit. We just told our friends, yeah, this one wasn't that good. But I think with that, I think we've also lost a little bit of our ability to truly appreciate things. You
Mm.
know, like I said, when we went outside, you know, we went to uh, a video rental store or something and rented a couple of movies for the weekend with friends, and we were watching those movies with friends in someone's basement or something. Right, we were all sitting there on the couch. We appreciated those movies way more than we appreciate something we can just scroll through and get, you know, find on Netflix. Because again, it's the instant, right?
Correct.
You find it right away, and then you'll start watching a movie and you watch 10 minutes and go, yeah, this isn't very interesting, and you find something new. Even though that movie that wasn't interesting for 10 minutes might be really interesting for the rest of it, we don't know.
Hmm.
But if we had gotten that movie in 1991, we would have watched it two or three times anyway because we had
Yeah.
paid money for it, and probably we would have liked it even more. But
Yeah.
all that scrolling and all the streaming and all that stuff and everything being so very available, I think it takes away from appreciation. I think it numbs us a bit
Hmm.
because the internet can numb you to a lot of negative things. You know, it's the same way
Yes.
the news numbed you to violence back in the day. The internet now numbs you even more. But
Yeah.
I think it also numbs you to the good things because
Yeah.
it's you'll conveniently skip by it and not really give things a chance either.
Hmm.
So I don't know if I'm making sense with this.
No, well, it's a philosophical discussion, so just
Yeah,
throw out your
well,
ideas. No, you're right.
the chat is perfectly allowed to say if I'm full of shit or not.
Yeah.
I don't
No.
mind that.
Well, and something that you pointed out about the appreciation of something, I can at any time, whether it's on my phone but also on a record or a CD, I can play any music I want.
Well,
But
it's like everyone's now chasing for the next thing,
mhm,
right? Constantly. The thing is, you'll never be happy when you get that next thing because you'll never learn to appreciate what you already have.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
it's just a constant chase.
yeah. But there is something to be said, though, about, and this goes along with nostalgia, that if you've never been to a symphony orchestra, you've not heard classical music before, because it's it already had lost some of it just because of the record. But then again, that had made it back in the day, back in the 20s and stuff, more accessible to everyone. But you can put in a CD, you can stream it. But I went to the symphony a few weeks ago, and it was the first time I had sat in an audience and listened to a full symphony live. It was a Dvorak. Don't know if I want to say what it is. I don't know if that would dox where I live, but they started it. This was a piece that I know how to play, and I just started to cry. And other people were too. And at the end, everyone just stood up and cheered, because there is nothing more alive than a live performance of, for example, a symphony orchestra. And there's a reason that even though these dudes are dead, these are hundreds of years old. There's a reason why it still captivates an audience. And it's the same thing with some of these stories. The European lore makes a very good point here. Star Wars is deeply archetypal, thus the universal appeal. And I will say, and that is why it had such an impact on us. This is a technical.
Same with the Lord of the Rings. It's the same type of phenomenon. Only one was on screen, one was on page.
Precisely. And then when they took the archetype and smashed it, it wasn't people being sensitive. It wasn't people being man babies. We were absolutely right to collectively say no. Because he's right. It's an archetype that he destroyed. He didn't just destroy a random character. It's something that's universal to our souls. So we naturally were revolted by it.
Yeah, and I think these days, more so than in the 90s, right? People are collecting retro things
Mm-hmm.
like action figures. They're collecting retro video games. The prices have skyrocketed on that.
Mm-hmm.
People are buying the old Star Wars stuff. All kinds of retro stuff is being collected way on a way more massive scale
Mm-hmm.
than we ever saw in the 90s or the 80s, right? Because in the 90s and 80s, everything was great, and in terms of pop culture, right? So we just took it all for granted because that was the norm.
Mm-hmm.
But now people are going back and buying, the old comics, and they're being released in omnibuses for collectors who want to read some old Spider-Man or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's our generation we're now stuck in a place where we're numb because of convenience, and we're not getting as much good entertainment as we used to get, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good movies are not the norm now. They're the exception. So I think people are turning around and rebuying their childhoods. They're buying bits of nostalgia, and because I've noticed this whenever I buy some old PC game and stuff, and I'm opening it, and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I had this when I was 12, right? Great,
Mm-hmm.
I remember the manual. So you get a little kick of endorphins, I guess.
Yeah.
So it takes you back for just a few minutes, but it only lasts for a few minutes too. It's cool to have it and all that, but it's still, I think people are still just repurchasing good memories for a quick fix because we're so starved
Hmm.
of good content that will make us go wow. I mean, the two biggest successes in the last few years among nerds and all that, it's Ghostbusters Afterlife and Top Gun Maverick.
Hmm.
They're sequels to something we grew up with. It's not anything new, right?
Yeah.
There hasn't been a new wow thing in ages.
Yeah, like a movie that just made you go. Probably the closest new great movie I've seen has been the movie about Sound of Freedom. But it wasn't something that made you go, "Yay," but it was very well done and it was original. But there's a reason why I think that the Ghostbusters and the Maverick were so good though was because they kept the icons, if you will. I mean, Maverick is an icon. He is, the jock, the underdog, and just seeing the airplanes flying. That's one reason I went to see it in the cinema. Well, first of all, the family wanted to, but also you needed to see it in the cinema. The shots of those airplanes, it was amazing and it was fun. Um,
I'm gonna tell you and the chat something that's kind of shocking.
uh oh.
So I'm gonna need a few minutes for this. This is what we were used to. So I'm gonna use 1987 as
Okay.
as an example, right?
Sure.
Uh, Here's just some of the movies released in 1987. Uh, you have Over the Top with Stallone, kind of a fun movie, worth watching. You have Predator, RoboCop, Lethal Weapon, Evil Dead 2, technically a reboot, but still. You have Good Morning Vietnam. You have Three Men and a Baby, Adventures in Babysitting. Let's see, I'm scrolling. Uh,
Well, Dirty Dancing.
yes, Dirty Dancing. The Princess Bride was 87, I believe.
Hmm.
Harry and the Hendersons, uh, The Untouchables.
Was a
Um,
Lethal Weapon movie that year, or was that?
yes, Lethal Weapon 1, Spaceballs was 87 as well. Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, RoboCop. La Bomba was 1987. The Lost Boys. I'm just naming a few, right? That was
Yeah.
just 1987. That was what we were used to. I mean, RoboCop, The Lost Boys, Lethal Weapon, Predator, they all started franchises, right?
Yeah.
Compare that to 2017 or last year. There's nothing really original. It's all stuff that's based on something already created. Creativity is gone compared
Mm.
to what it was in 1987. You know?
Yeah. I don't know if this is hyperbole, European lords. Like, 80s drained the good stuff resource barrel for the rest of time. I mean, I don't know what happened. I don't know what was in the water
Well,
in the
well,
80s, but holy shit, you're right.
yeah. That's just 1987.
Yeah.
You know, and I think was it 84? We had Terminator and Back to the Future. We had Beverly Hills Cop, Gremlins. I think
Hmm.
wasn't Ghostbusters that year as well.
I believe it was. And
Yeah,
Karate
that
Kid.
yeah, just 1 year.
Hmm.
That was, you could go to the cinema every damn week and watch something great. Now it's like people go there. So yeah, I'm gonna go there and watch it so you don't have to, or they go there so they can be part of the conversation bashing the movie.
Well, yeah, that's for content.
Yeah, So,
I'm
well, not just for content, other people do it too, so they can be in the conversation for that content of their favorite YouTuber or something. So it's just we're feeding ourselves negative things. We're on a bad intellectual diet of our own choosing because there's so many movies that are great from way back that I haven't even watched. So I'm going back and watching old stuff,
hmm
right? So I'm like, okay, I've never seen this movie. It won 5 Oscars. It's probably good.
Right.
Yes, it is. Instead of watching the 18th movie about Spider-Man, where we get to see Uncle Ben get killed again, or
True.
a reboot of Batman. I mean, seriously, Batman's parents has to be the most on-screen killed characters in history.
hmm
We don't have to see that every time. We know how they die. You know, so it's just it's. I think we're against our better judgment. We kind of poison ourselves a bit intellectually with, but by not being able to look away from something we know is something we don't like. Does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense, which is why I wish there would be more coverage of what actually is good out there. Because for one thing, there is good content. I was already talking about comics that even the so-called decline of Marvel and DC. No, Marvel and DC are doing just fine. People cherry pick certain things to have a fuss about, but mainstream comics are doing well, and there's such good content if you
Well,
go to a LCS and see.
well, usually the people who say that the superhero comics are dead are usually the same people that are trying to sell their own superhero comics.
Mhm. Well, and to be fair, why should you buy this indie comic if you need to market? It's like, yes, please do this since the normal comics suck. Some normal comics suck, just like anything else. But we were just talking about how unbelievably amazing this new Conan thing. I nearly cry. I'm a crier. You know me. I cry because I'm an emotional person. There was one scene that was so cool, and I don't want to spoil it for you, Steve, because I sent the comics over to Steve so he can read them in the third one. It was so powerful. It was so iconic. Conan. It was just beautiful. It, and there's a lot of really good graphic novels, like Harleen. That was one that you recommended to me about Harley Quinn. That was fucking awesome.
Yes, that one was. It was Stephanie, my nerdy home,
Mm-hmm.
told me to watch it.
Yeah,
Sorry, read it.
read
So
it.
I did,
Yeah,
and she was right, and she knows her DC stuff
yeah.
seriously. But
Now,
it's kind of, let's say Marvel and DC are doing terribly. It's being wrecked. Let's just go with that, right? So you're sitting there as a Batman fan, going, okay, Batman is probably dead now, right? It's so
mhm,
bad. How many Batman comics has there been? 10,000,
I have no idea.
maybe? Let's just say 10,000. I bet you don't have all those 10,000 comics,
No.
right?
Hmm.
So just go back, collect the other stuff. Go to thrift stores. That alone is an adventure, right?
Yeah.
Go to thrift stores, yard sales, anything, and see if pick up the old stuff and read that, because just because it's new doesn't mean you have to consume it, and just because it's old doesn't mean it has expired. A
Mm.
comic book doesn't have an expiration date. You know.
European lore said the quiet part out loud. I'm trying to be polite. Yes, everything that you just say. Yes. Yeah, they do have a good
Yeah.
comic out every month. Good
Well,
stuff.
um, for people in the Stone Age, the Iron Age must seem like a great idea.
And I okay, oh shoot. Stig said that, not me. Go after him. He doesn't care.
Yes. I said it and I meant it, sir.
Soul Assassin, Batman's been around since 1930. I think there's bound to be a bunch of. Well, I'll tell you
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just Batman.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, Spider-Man, the Hulk, Captain America, anything.
Mhm.
Just go back and, they are reprinting those old stories in omnibuses. I saw there was a huge Spider-Man one. I think it had almost 50 comics in it, hardcover. Costs a little bit, but then again, you are getting 50 comics that you're probably going to like.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I bought the reprints of the very first Wonder Woman ones, the ones that were coming out in World War II, is from 1943, and they are badass.
Yeah.
They are really, really good. So I'm sure it's probably the same with the other ones as well. Also, a lot of history there, because in the middle of it, they would have some little commercial she would do for buying war bonds. But it's like, hey, it's great. And you've talked me into going to thrift stores, and that's how I discovered and bought the Forgotten Realms books, the Dragonlance, because I missed Dragonlance. I don't know where I was or where my brain was, but I skipped over it. And
the Dragonlance is I always felt Dragonlance was different from other things
mm-hmm,
because it has a little bit of a pleasant vibe to it.
mm-hmm.
It can't really. It has a certain style,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a bit cheesy, and it's uh, almost juvenile at times, but it has a hell of a lot of heart, and I
Yes.
think if people run into something like that, they'll forgive a hell of a lot because they can tell, yeah, the people here put their heart and soul into this,
Mm-hmm.
and they did their very best for it to be, you know, a pleasant vacation for the mind, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it has an 80s fantasy vibe to it, in a way.
Yes. And
Cu-
sorry, go ahead.
It has the tone of Willow, I would say.
Yeah, I can see that. And what's so amazing is they are coming out with new books even now. I don't know, they must be in their 70s by now. The fact that what Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman have accomplished, as well as Ari Salvatore with his Dritz books, is something that everyone should be all over. That is unbelievable achievement, and they still have it. And they're
Yeah,
starting to
and
get effed over, but yeah.
the the last Dritz book was released a few months ago, a month
Mhm.
ago, I think, or something like that. It's been going on since 1988 or 89 or something.
Mhm.
Uh, Almost a book per year since then.
Mm.
You know, uh, and I'd say that's a hell of an achievement, really. You know,
Mhm.
but so there's there's so much good content out there, though. Um, the classic fantasy writers are classics for a reason. People love them, right?
Mhm.
And most of those series they're there. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You can get a rock solid, great story right there. And I assume the same will apply to comics because there's different comics ones, right? With
Mhm.
different writers and all that. So you can get that. You could start collecting. Go to thrift stores, collect old movies you've never seen.
Mhm.
Build your own little physical media shelf. So
Yeah.
it's all in your own hands, really.
Yeah, if you're
How
not
much?
being entertained, it's your own fault.
How much does a cinema ticket cost over there on average?
Oh my gosh, I don't know, but it's ridiculous. It's about It might be as much as $20 each. It depends on when you go, but I know that if you're planning on going to the cinema and get popcorn and a drink, you're going to spend $40 to $50 for one person.
Okay, so but let's say you spend $40,
Hmm.
right? On one movie that you're watching that you kind of know you're not even gonna like, right?
Hmm.
How many movies would you get for that money at a half price store or a thrift store or whatever? Let's say uh, $2 for a movie, a DVD.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's was that 20 movies instead of watching one movie that you don't really actually want to watch.
Yeah,
So that then
precisely.
you have potentially 20 movies um, that you watch over and over and over again. I mean, it's simple math, right?
Yeah. And there was a reason why, as I was putting some pictures together, I came up with Luke Skywalker. But this relationship and scene with the Karate Kid with Mr. Miyagi and Danny, and how he's
Yeah,
like wax on, wax off, and he's making him do all these chores. And then the moment it clicks, when he starts to like attack him, he's like, "Show me wax on, wax off," and all of a sudden, Mr. Miyagi becomes a beast, and you
yeah,
realize, holy shit, this man. And
yeah,
the father son relationship that they had. I've talked over and over again about when he is drunk and talking about his wife being in the internment camp, and that's when Daniel realizes, oh my gosh, what this man has been through. And that triumphant moment when he does the crane kick and the music, Bill Conti's score, and he just kicks Johnny. It it's so triumphant. It, it just gives me chills even talking about it. And these are the memories that stay with us. I was what, 10 when that came out, and still I can watch that over and over again, even just the last 10 minutes. Um, and I think that's why Cobra Kai is so successful and so entertaining, because they
yeah.
built on the lore.
Yeah, it built on it and it didn't piss on it and didn't alter anything.
Hmm.
I think Ash versus Evil Dead did the same thing,
Hmm.
but then as soon as there's a big Hollywood thing going on, you have a lot of people involved that aren't even fans. They're fans of themselves, and they
Hmm.
like the idea of their name being associated with big logos. And
Yes.
I think that's also why a lot of them do the self inserts, because we've seen a lot of that lately, where game developers obviously put themselves into the game, right? Because they have a character that looks exactly like them. And
Yes.
then when the game gets criticism for being bad, they take it personal because it is personal because they put themselves in it.
Hmm.
So
No.
if that character is being criticized, you're actually criticizing the person who wrote it because he or she put himself in it, right?
Yeah.
That's why they get so over touchy about it.
Darn right.
It's yeah, and the way they react to it tends to be very explosive, which is a sign of narcissistic injury. And it's obvious narcissism if you put yourself into someone else's creation
Yeah.
because you feel, Stan Lee's um, Spider-Man would be better if you put yourself in it. That would
Which.
improve on Stan Lee's product, right? It's the egos are off the charts, right? And then
Uh-huh.
when it gets criticized, they take it personal because it is,
Yeah.
and it's their own doing.
No,
You
you've
know,
got it. Well, look what these men, 1983. Or was it 84? We already said 84.
uh,
84.
I
Maybe it's
think
84.
it's 84,
Okay. Cool. But
or maybe it was. I don't know.
th-
One of the two.
you want to talk about something that was burned into my childhood. these 4 dudes were the coolest badasses on the planet, and just their dialogue and their lines. You and I were talking last night about the whole, "Yes, it is true, this man has no dick." I
Yeah,
mean, we laughed and we would say that. We saw, we kicked its ass. Everything about this movie is perfection and everything cool. Yeah, just love it.
yeah, and
They're
it
icons.
spawned a very good animated series as well,
Mhm.
and a bunch of fun video games.
Yeah.
You know, I still have the Commodore 64 Ghostbusters game.
Oh my gosh.
Starts off with you having to buy a car, and then a certain amount of traps and whatever for the car, and then go around hunting ghosts.
Yeah. Oh gosh. That's oh my gosh. I'm getting chills. I'm getting chills. But did you have the experience of seeing this in the cinema?
No,
Because
I rented Ghostbusters 2
oh
because I was going to be home alone one Saturday, and my parents, yeah, here's candy for you, and rent, a movie or something. So I rented Ghostbusters 1 because I think I had seen the toys, the real Ghostbusters toys
hmm
that they had, and I had the Commodore 64 game, and I watched Ghostbusters 2 before 1. I don't remember when I watched 1 though. It probably wasn't that long after, but uh, I would have watched 1, I think, if they had had that one at the video store that day, but they didn't. Same thing happened with Star Wars. I watched Empire Strikes Back before Episode
wow.
4, simply because Episode 4 wasn't there. Someone
Yeah.
had rented it.
Wow. So man, so you didn't have the experience because when I saw it in the cinema, in 1980s cinema, a show like Ghostbusters was full of 10, 11, 12-year-olds, like for
My,
the showing we were having. And
my oh, sorry.
when it starts off with the song, at the beginning, after the big ghost thing, and then you hear that dun 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 dun, and when they go, "Who you gonna call?" The whole cinema, all of us kids yelled Ghostbusters. I mean, that's something that it's cheesy, but it was like an amazing memory for me. It what do we have nowadays like that where kids can do that
I
and
don't
have that
know.
experience?
Kids aren't allowed to cheer for anything because if they cheer for the wrong thing, they get sent to the principal for personal problems because they you know laughed at something that could be considered racist or whatever it is when all the
Mhm.
kid laughed at was some guy falling on his ass.
Yeah.
You know, it's gotten crazy, but yeah. Well, Star Wars though. My introduction was the Star Wars Marvel comics from the
Yes.
80s because I was reading comics. And some of my friends had Star Wars toys, and they were telling me about Han Solo and blah, 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 right? So I started getting interested in that. And then I got Star Wars 75, issue 75. That was my introduction to Star Wars. And then I got a few toys. I got the first one I got, I think, was Han Solo in the Hoth outfit,
Mm-hmm.
and the AT pilot. No,
Oh, General
ATST
Veers.
pilot. No, ATST
Oh,
pilot. That was what it
OTSD.
was.
Okay. No, okay. I was
Yeah,
gonna
that
say.
was a helmet that didn't cover the face. Gray
Oh,
uniform.
yeah. Oh, and
Um,
those toys.
yeah. And then I got Chewie, who was my favorite for a long time. And then Lando became one of my favorites because I kept getting the Star Wars comics. And uh, in my opinion, Lando didn't get to shine in anything except those Marvel comics because a lot of them were focused on him, and he got to do all the action and stuff. He was a bit underused in the
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars EU because I always felt they focused way too much on the Jedi in the EU. with the exception of the X-wing books and stuff. But they put a Jedi in there too,
Mm-hmm.
So it was. I always thought there was a massive focus on lightsabers, right?
Yeah.
And the Force, which is fine. It should be there, but they should have left a bit more room for other things in the galaxy that didn't involve the Force and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt Lando should have gotten another trilogy.
Oh, that would have been so cool.
Yeah. So
Maybe the Coruscant Knights would be the
well, that's Jedi focused too.
Oh, that's true, because even if he's hiding.
Yeah, it's a Jedi hiding. So it's just you have a Dash Rendar book, which I haven't read yet, and then the X-wing books, I guess, and there's 6 Han Solo books. But out of I think it's 157 novels. I think less than 20 of them doesn't involve the Force. You have the Bounty Hunter War trilogy, right, which is the Bounty Hunters, and then some of those Tales books, Tales from Jabba's Palace, and
Tales from the Empire.
Yeah. So it's very very Jedi focused. I always felt there was room for other things, which I always thought the old Marvel comics did better.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we don't have the time we could to explore more of that because, of course, Disney's not going to do it, and we don't want Disney to do a Lando Calrissian book. They may even have. I don't know. I'm not paying attention.
I think if Disney wanted to get some of the old fans back, right, or at least get them to the table, they could do some Legends branded animated movies, like Shadows of the Empire. Just do it by the book.
Oh damn!
And just if they have to, just stick the Legends banner on it, because they would anyway.
Or Heir to the Empire.
Yeah, just do some Legends products now and then, and
but they won't because they've been stealing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, European Lore says, my dad introduced me to everything. He rented OG Star Wars when I was 3, watched the X-Files with me at the age of 4. Parents can make a difference. They should do more of that today. You are correct.
Yeah, and that's also a reason why people have such strong memories tied to movies like Ghostbusters or Star Wars, what have you. It's because they watched them with their parents or grandparents that might have passed away by now, right? And like I said, it's imprinted and embedded in people as a positive, landmark.
Yes. So when those douchebags sit around and say, "Oh man, baby," say it ruins your childhood. It's like, listen, asshole. It's more than that. Well, my grandmother, she passed away right after The Empire Strikes Back, and fuck my life. Sorry. Guess what I did? Well, you know what I did.
Something.
And knocked over, because I talk with my hands, and my coffee got knocked over. But my grandmother passed away after Empire Strikes Back. She loved Empire Strikes Back, so we had an association with her with that, and she had even a little Yoda action figure with the little snake that came with it, that little plastic snake.
Yeah, I had that one.
Yeah, so we have that, and memories of seeing it with my mother, of all of the original ones, and I don't know,
and while some of the criticism from Disney is that they're man babies, blah blah blah. They're not 100% wrong, because it doesn't destroy your childhood, and you can basically apply it destroyed my childhood to anything, right? You change the wrappings of the Snickers bar, right? it doesn't look like what it used to when I was a kid. You know, that argument can be stretched to anything if
It could.
someone so chooses. But while it doesn't destroy anyone's childhood, it still kind of steps on it.
Well, yeah, and it's again, it's people exaggerating, obviously, but what they're saying is, it's like when you're messing with this character, it really is something more than just a story. Well, look at Mark Hamill, who is a total douchebag, but that man looked like he was ready to erase himself from the planet after he watched The Last Jedi. And when it shows the behind the scenes with them filming, you could see his soul was like dying a little bit by bit through the whole thing. And so it's like, you're telling me that doesn't affect people.
Well, here's the thing. And then he went right back and played Luke again, or Jake Skywalker again. And the Mandalorian. People fell for it, though, because he killed some droids.
But was it him or was it his?
No, it was him, and then they CGI'd some stuff on top of him. He was on the set.
Oh, okay. Well, then again, maybe. Well, hey, I'm not giving him too much credit because he's a douche. He totally had a disconnect between reality, why he was so upset, and in real life events. Let me just put it to you that way, but I'm not going to get too much into it. But it is absolutely indisputable that he was devastated, absolutely devastated, and had a very good reason for being so. And so, he wasn't being a man baby. And when they were gaslighting him, you saw that Kathleen Kennedy and especially Rian Johnson just gaslighting him every time he would try to say something. You could see, yes, it hurts. It's the pain is real. One thing that Gravy D brought up, and I don't have a picture for it, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That also has I know it has more for you than for me because it kind of came out when I was too old for them.
It came out when my interest in cartoons and action figures was dwindling. So it was right at the end for me. But for the most part, in my case, it was Star Wars, G.I. Joe, He-Man, and Transformers. That was what I was most into. And then I did have some of the Ninja Turtles figures, but I got into because I got a Commodore 64. So I got into gaming, and then I used to play a lot of football and stuff. So it's
gosh darn it, Stargate SGI has some good fortune, or Stargate 1. I never got around to that. I feel like a bad human being.
It's like 10 or 11 seasons.
Yeah.
With 23 or 24 episodes per season. So it's like I watched some of it back in the day, but it was just, for me, it was too much. I'm like, I watched, oh yeah, I've been watching Stargate for 10 hours and I haven't even made any headway. So it was just, I get why people love it, though. It wasn't that it was any kind of bad or anything like that. It was very good. It was just, it was a lot. And there was a lot of filler in it.
Yeah. Because back then the seasons were longer and they would do that. Yeah. I'm currently watching SGI 1, says Trey Courtney, and Magitech Max is season 8. Man, so that means she's made a dent.
Oh, hell yes.
Okay, people are wanting me to watch it. It's my favorite show. Oh my gosh, it is a lot. Well, I watched a little bit of it when Robert Carlyle showed up, but that might have been a spinoff. I don't know. It was 2 seasons where he was some guy in it.
I would say, X-Files isn't too far off either in terms of length. The weird thing, unusual thing about X-Files is That show had 2 cinematic movies released in between seasons,
Mm.
which that doesn't happen often, does it? You'll get TV movies and the like, but not a cinematic one.
You're right. At least not back then. Nowadays, they do these tie-ins with their streamings, like what Disney Plus is trying to do with the Marvel's stuff. Supernatural has 15 seasons. Oh, well done, Trey. Stargate Atlantis. I believe that is it. Or Stargate Universe. Okay, maybe one of the
Well,
two.
it's 2 Stargate. Yeah, well, he's in one of them.
Okay. Question, says Soul Assassin. Have y'all ever seen or heard the TV show Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World? Yes, I have heard of that.
Yes, I've seen it. Really, really bad CGI for the dinosaurs and stuff, but it's fun. It's a fun adventure show with some colorful main characters and very loosely based on the old book by Arthur Conan Doyle.
Okay,
Yes, Farscape. One of the best sci-fi shows out there, in my opinion. It's like a mix between Firefly and Star Wars, maybe.
That sounds fair.
And practical effects on alien characters. They use dummies and stuff. One of the main characters is a dummy. Fat slug of a person with very few redeeming qualities.
Oh, Trey's well done, Trey. Trey, you're doing the Lord's work. Well done. He's watching all these. Yes.
Well, I hope you will review Farscape on your channel, Trey.
Yes.
It'll be fun to see what you have to think about it.
Now, another mess up with people completely missing the mark on what nostalgia means and what these characters and movies mean to us has been in the news lately because of a certain twat. You want to talk about nostalgia. Now, this is more for girls, and I have no problem saying this.
It's for girls, but it's also deeply embedded in a lot of European countries' cultures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Precisely. Well, yeah, for one thing, it's based on a great fairy tale. Of course, the fairy tale is far more dark than what Disney did, but it's still dark enough when you really think about it. A woman's stepmother first tries to get a huntsman to murder her in the woods, and then later poisons her with an apple. But this whole thing here with Snow White, with her pretty hair and her dress and the little animals, you will still see on Halloween, every Halloween, you will find a few girls in this exact costume, and not just white girls of all races I've seen wanting to be Snow White. You go to Disney World, she's one of the Disney princesses. Me as a little girl with her pretty voice and her pretty hair, though not Snow White, rather Sleeping Beauty was the one I was the most, where I just loved her. I played her, wanted to be her with the little birds and sweeping and singing the way she did, but Snow White equally so. This is something that is, as a girl, we just loved her, okay? And you wanted to be her. You wanted to dress up. You wanted to be a princess. And then that little shit, first of all, tanked the whole movie. But the way she came out and just crapped all over this character, this vision of her that for me was important as a little girl. And I was a girl born in the 70s. So little girls, since this movie came out in the 1930s, including to this day, you go to any daycare, you'll see girls sometimes dressed up like this at Halloween time. And then they just crap all over it and making fun of people that
it's not just that they made fun of people who like the old animated movie. They also labeled the people who like it bad people.
Yes, that even worse. Yeah,
which is like, what? So you're basically labeling your potential fan base, bad people. You're bad people for having grown up with this and loved it.
Yeah.
Now come watch my version.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to show up when you do that.
Yeah. And not only that, those girls that I saw this Halloween dressed up like this, their mothers or fathers bought them that thing. So this thing, I guess, are they bad parents? Are their kids, are their 3-year-old kids for wanting to dress up like Snow White messed up? Everything that you said, Stig. Oh, by the way, thank you, European Lore. Yeah, he's got to get some sleep. Thank you for stopping by. Keep up the good work and good night. Aw, thank you. Yeah, since the 2000s, all the movies and shows about Snow White have a queen who is prettier than Snow White. Yeah, that's always kind of funny, too. No, thanks, not seeing it. Yeah. And you want to talk about nostalgia. All right. Not going to lie. They brought this up even on Friends. Every girl, when she's planning her wedding, when she's planning her wedding dress, they want to be a princess like this. And you'll even see it. Brides will even wear tiaras.
I had a girlfriend who wanted to like role play as Snow White. So I gave her a poisoned apple. She's dead now.
I knew that was coming. Yeah. But yeah, so the Zegler person, I've never seen a movie more deserving to fail. But just the complete tone deafness of it. And the fact that she thought she was being cute and funny. And then she cried about people reacting against it. It's like, listen.
Well, say shit in public and people will reply in public.
Yeah. And not just that.
Imagine that.
Exactly. But you not being a princess, you not being a girl, you don't get, well, you'll never get because it's not a part of you. What the
No, I'm naturally pretty and stuff anyway.
Oh, no, but you know what I mean? Like what the princess means to a little girl, like our play, like everything we've been saying about Ninja Turtles and the Ghostbusters and the cartoons and everything. This is the way we feel about Snow White. This is the way we feel about Sleeping Beauty. Belle, though Belle was later for me, but of course there's lots of kids that Belle was their princess. And just a complete tone deafness of this child who I'm so happy had a bit of a bomb over the weekend. It's like, yeah, why would I go see a movie with someone that just not only made fun of my nostalgia, but also crapped all over her male co-star? I mean, that alone's probably going to get her canceled. But yeah, this is iconic. And the whole girls loving to play with puppies. And I told you my comics when I was a girl was Mandy Magazine, where, yeah, there was a lady that helped orphans and rescued puppies. That's girl stuff. This is our story. And they're trying to tell us that, no, we're going to make her a leader. And no prince is going to come and rescue her. And I'm like, well, then what's the freaking point?
Well, look at the bitch who's playing it. Well, nobody wants to rescue her.
Oh, dear. Yeah. Well, not if she's that mean. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Grant Gregory. Thank you for being here. She crapped over her career, too. Seems like most don't want to work with her. Well, yeah. Well, because she sat there when... I think it's almost worse what she said about her co-star when she said, oh, they could cut him out and no one would notice. I'm like, damn, girl, you... No.
Yeah, then you have the male actor going, oh, shit. Yeah, I spent so many hours rehearsing for your movie.
Yeah.
Glad you liked it.
Exactly. Well, and she was acting like she was more important than him. She was like, we had him do this. It's like, no, girl, you're just a star. But it's just unseemly. It's just completely unseemly to do that to a coworker, to a co-star, and then think she's being funny.
Yeah, I saw someone defend it with, no, she's just being sassy. Like, no, she's being a bitch.
total bitch. She'll end up doing weird stuff as she fails at an actress. Yeah. Well, she's becoming box office poison because even her big breakout role in West Side Story, that was a complete flop. Now, it wasn't a flop because of her, because no one knew who she was. The whole thing was ill-conceived. But she has not been in a commercial success. I can't imagine that this Snow White one will either. She's bad, really bad PR. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just once one stops how they can keep doing this and begins to understand why they keep doing it. It makes terrible but factual sense. Marxism is to enable an entire dystopian future. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. But talk about tone deafness. That even the stupid Marxists, they were good at propaganda. As much as I don't like the Red Army, they had one hell of an album they put out. They could sing. But this is just a perfect example of nostalgia being infantilized. And it's not. It's actually very sophisticated, and I think that hopefully that's what we have been able to bring apart. People are saying hi, Fair Teresa. Yeah. No. I mean, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And then I know I'm an idiot because sometimes I do find myself being entrapped. It's like, it's a double standard. It's like, of course they know it's a double standard. It's propaganda. And it's like, of course they know why. I think maybe the reason why Zegler took everyone aback was because she didn't do it well. You know that she probably went off script. She was most likely given PR points because they are given PR points. And she was supposed to emphasize how she's going to be a leader and all that. And then she went off and took off with it. She was not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to let the veil down. In her case, though,
I'm pretty sure it was Disney. They had like a committee giving them talking points and what have you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I know I think I've told you because I have real sources and I never revealed them. Guess why? Because if you have real sources, you don't talk about it.
Yeah,
they won't be your sources.
There's always something I thought was weird when people claim they have sources at Disney and all that. So I'm like, so you have someone who's working at Disney and that person is risking his whole career telling you, a YouTuber, all the good inside information so that you can stream it. Someone's out there and risking their livelihood for that.
Exactly.
I'm like, I don't think that's what's going on.
No. I can say sometimes you will get some inside information for various reasons, but you never reveal, and I will take them all to my grave. I do believe, though, that yes, those were her talking points from Disney, but she went off script. She went too far. She cannot act. No, she can't. And understand, she's not even an established person. She's one of the few actors that I know of that went immediately to being like a star in everything. She's never really been a co-star.
It's Hollywood creating a product.
Yeah.
They basically find someone who fits the mold,
mm-hmm.
and then they stuff them in all kinds of stuff, and then they have their media army do the heavy lifting with basically propaganda, praising the person as a immensely talented, and this movie is so good, go watch it. We're paid to say so.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like the media serving as an ad for Disney's latest action figure.
Yes, and
something along that line.
Yeah. Well, and don't underestimate the fact that a lot of reviews and coverage and talking points that you will see, the reason why they all sound the same is in many ways they are being paid to do so.
Yeah.
It's no one does something for nothing. Like even after what happened this weekend with the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, some mainstream thing like Deadline, I forget which one, said Zegler has proved she gets asses in seats. And I'm like, no, quite the opposite happened, but they're being
Well,
paid to say so.
what seats though? The toilet seat?
Ah ha ha. Exactly. Yeah. Magitech says, yeah, she's brand new, like she came out of nowhere. Yeah, they were trying to create her. Now, what this little girl is going to figure out, though, is that if their little propaganda thing doesn't work, and it's not, they will drop her so fast, she will be persona non grata, and they will never forgive her for failing their own propaganda thing. So a heavy dose of reality is going to come for this little lady when she realizes suddenly she's left out in the cold, because the people that were selling her, creating her, puffing her up, they're not going to take the fall for her failing. She will. Yeah, trying to make Rachel happen Hollywood. Yeah. She is literally the reason I did not see The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes. Because I would have seen it. I like Hunger Games. I like the franchise. But there's no way I'm going to sit through any movie with her. Ever. The closest I came to was West Side Story, which I saw on an airplane. There's a video of Christopher Lee, says Soul Assassin, saying how Hollywood is run by people little or no experience and constantly release crap films.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All we have to do is watch a Hollywood movie today to figure that one out.
Yeah. Well, and Stig, you had a really good interview that you showed me with Christopher Lee, where he's saying that part of the reason, or part of what is wrong with the Hollywood stars right now, the young people, is that they're not like earning their chops. They're not doing the theater. They're not.
They're being put in lead roles in very high budget movies, and it's on repeat, right? And they don't have the experience to handle the success, or when things starts going, the other way. And he said that when you start off at the top of the ladder, the only way is down. And he said a lot of those actors have a shelf space of 10 years. Then they'll fade into obscurity. I have a sneaking suspicion, though, he was talking a little bit about Orlando Bloom at the time, because he got put into all kinds of big productions repeatedly. Where is he now?
Yeah.
He pretty much had 10 years.
Yeah. And unlike people like Christopher Lee or Donald Pleasance, Ian McKellen, all of these, since they're not great actors, they're not great trained actors, they also have nowhere to go once they're past that shelf life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know of many actors that they'll be in these shows, they'll be in these movies, and then they'll go and do Broadway, they'll do Shakespeare. I mean, they're acting all the time.
Look at Keira Knightley and Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, when's the last time you've seen? Good point.
Yeah.
Her
or Angelina Jolie. She had 10 years still.
Yeah. They don't understand being made humble or what it takes to work your way up. Yeah. Because all that comes to mind to me, they're talking about the Australians. Well, yeah, Russell Crowe's still doing pretty good. He was in Avatar and did some other films. Now I don't see him leading films. I don't know who you're talking about.
Sam Worthington.
Oh, thank you.
He got a little bit blacklisted because he didn't want to do a sex scene in a movie.
Oh.
Yeah. With Jennifer Aniston, because he didn't want to do it because he's married.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. He was in Terminator 4 and all kinds of stuff, but he's not in a lot of stuff anymore, except the new Avatar. But
yeah, that's what I mean, I must admit it must be tricky
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you're
I mean, all you have to do is go back a few years. To just go back 15 years or something, and
mhm,
then you'll see the actors that tended to be in all kinds of stuff,
yeah.
and go, where are they now?
Mm,
Because Orlando Bloom is he's in some TV shows now and again, and stuff like that. And Keira Knightley is kind of gone. Jennifer Lawrence, she can't sleep with Harvey anymore for roles.
oh,
Well, she did.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That's how they all got their Oscars. Same thing with Gwyneth Paltrow. She now has to make candles. Thank you, Adego Outlaw, for being here. Good night. Sam was in Clash of the Titans. Yes. I don't know though. If you do want to be a star, you do pretty much have to do the sex scenes. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. But if you don't want to, and it sounds like many of these people, they took the cuts to their careers, and if that's how they feel, well, more power to you. But Jim Caviezel is one that
Oh,
also
he got ostracized.
yeah, but him, I think it was more the Jesus stuff, like being associated with the Passion of the Christ and some of the other things. Like they tried to smear the makers of Sound of Freedom, that same idea. But I think he's doing just fine. Keira Knightley was so thin to win. Oh dear, yeah, poor thing. That was the only distracting part of Pride and Prejudice. Well, we're about ready to get into the pub game part of the pub crawl. Steve, is there anything that you have not said that you would like to say before we move on?
No, I think it's I think I babbled enough. Hopefully, I made some sense now and again. If not, I don't apologize one bit because I said it and I meant it.
Yeah. It was a great conversation because we were being philosophical, and sometimes you just got to blow with the wind on those things. And of course, chat, you were the MVPs of great conversation and contributions as well.
No, they weren't. I was.
Shut up. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to be nice to my guests.
No, it's fine.
Oh, yeah, he's fine. Yeah. Well, yeah, Meteor Advocate, that's exactly it. And he was outspoken and he's pro-life. So that'll make you persona non grata. I think it's not worth being a star. Got to play by the Hollywood rules and constantly be watched by the public for sure. And you got to sell your soul. It's not worth it. You can't. What's the point of gaining the whole world but losing your soul? No point. No point at all. Well, alrighty. Well, thank you, Steve. We're going to go ahead into our roll 20, or sorry, roll 7 rather. And this is your creation. This whole thing actually is your idea.
Yeah, I'm completely spoiled by this. It's not going to work on me.
Well, I'm sure people would love to hear your answers. But yes, Steve helped me come up with this, and it was tested by him and my mom and my dad. We played this together to come up with these questions.
I had her test my creation on her family.
It sounds wrong after. Oh boy. Okay, Tommy's got to go. Have things to do before my 7th stream. Have a good one. Oh well, thank you, Tommy. Thank you for being here. And rule 34. Oh, technically, from a certain point of view, Caviezel is an Outlander movie from Viking trilogy together with the 13 Martyr and Pathfinder. Yes, Outlander. That's one movie I'm supposed to watch. And
yeah,
Steve said
that one's fun.
Yeah, Steve told me if I did this, I would be monetized by the summer, and you were right. Well, mostly monetized. And this has been a lot of fun. I really like this. It has been a great way to meet people. So it's all Steve's fault. So if he has shit answers, please feel free to roast him, but also participate in the chat. Well, let's start with roll 1. If you didn't have to sleep, what would you do with your extra time?
Uh, I, I guess much the same as I do. More hiking, probably. More
Hmm.
fishing. More. Maybe write a book. I don't know. Because I would have the extra hours, wouldn't
Yes, you would.
I? Have more friends across the globe because they would be awake when the other ones were sleeping.
That's true because you live a vampire existence. Oh dear, Trey Courtney. His answer is more smoking. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Do that, Trey. You don't do that enough.
Oh gosh.
Double your intake, sir.
The advice given on Miss Martin Muses do not necessarily reflect the advice that Miss Martin Muses would
Well, yeah,
recommend.
it makes him happy, and I support Trey in his quest for happy. So
All right, you heard it here first, kids. Thank you. Meteor Advocate Timon gives me a super sticker for $1.49, whatever Brazilian money is. And it is a rose. Thank you, Timon. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. And you get. Oops.
a car.
No, he got a little thank you rose. Oh dear. Wouldn't you go crazy without sleep? Yeah, technically, I guess if you could physiologically do without sleep. Oh gosh, you made you made Courtney cry with laughter. Magic Mag said I'd finally read a book or really work videos talking about old movie recommendation. Girl, do it. Do it. We we
I
need
just
more of
feed
that.
Trey movies to watch. Like, yeah, go watch this and do a review. It'll make you happy.
And he's usually
Uh,
right. That's what's so
yeah, and
infuriating.
yeah, I got to watch some Rutger Hauer stuff, and he seemed to like it.
Yeah, we love Rocker Howard. Lady Hawk. All right, roll two. What's the worst piece of advice you've ever been given?
Well, the worst piece of advice I've given someone is to tell Trey to smoke more.
How about you?
Uh, I don't know. Uh, Give Disney Star Wars a chance. That would be something. Because I did. I
Yeah.
did give it a chance. Marvelously dumb of me. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a hard one to answer.
I'm here's the thing. I'm shit at taking advice.
Yeah, he's great at giving advice.
Yeah, I'm great at telling people what to do, but I don't do it when they tell me to do something.
Hmm. Trying to think.
So, uh, yeah, I would have to actually take someone's advice for to even be able to answer that.
No. Okay, fair enough. Roll three. Oh, you got the same one. By the way, you've rolled a one twice.
Yeah,
If this if this were our game, I'd run over somebody or shoot Mara.
yeah, that's happened a few times, and I
Hmm.
get fucking blamed for it too. Seriously, she blames me for every damn thing.
Yeah. That is
And then
probably
she
your fault.
streams about it and tells everyone.
Oh dear. All right. Well, this one you might have answered, but you can only choose one. What's your favorite movie and why?
Jaws.
Oh, and why?
I just think it's a perfect movie. I think it works almost as well as a drama movie as a horror movie
Hmm.
because the characters are fleshed out, unlike in a lot of horror movies. So you actually root for the characters rather than wonder who's going to get killed next.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the whole
Plus,
scene with Robert
I,
Shaw.
I, I, I grew up on an island, very much like that island.
Oh my. And like when the holidays would come around in the summer, would loads of people be out and about fishing, I guess?
A little bit. I mean, heck, one of my friend's dad looked like Gwent.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
The same mannerism. So he wasn't as crazy though. But yeah, and I watched it when I was like 10 or something, and I spent a lot of time in small boats, right,
Oh
fishing
yeah.
and stuff. But there was paying extra attention to the water for a year or so.
Now, do sharks get that far north where you are?
Oh, technically they can, but they don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm voting for Jaws. It's just my favorite movie.
Yeah.
I
It's a great
can
movie.
watch it over and over again. You know, the music and all that stuff. It just works.
Yeah. It never gets old.
Yeah.
You have an accusation from Trey.
Yeah.
Steve killed
Oh, you
Indy.
were there.
I know
You
I
were
was
there.
there. And you. Oh, I was about ready to say, I called him a lot of names. I've called him a lot of names since then, too.
Yeah, it's her and Mora. It's just yeah.
Yeah.
I'm used to it.
Jurassic Park, says Trey Courtney, is the first movie I ever watched. Oh my gosh.
I watched that in the cinema when it came out. It was that was a good cinema experience. I was lucky enough to watch a lot of
Yeah.
really good ones in the cinema at that time.
Yeah. That movie
And
was terrifying in the cinema.
everyone had a jump scare of the when the goat.
Oh,
Right?
fuck. Yes. And then you just
And
see the water shaking.
yeah, and I also watched Cliffhanger. That one was great in the cinema because you almost got vertigo from it for some of the scenes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Magitech Mag says that's another hard one. I'll pick Casablanca. Here's looking at you, kid.
I've actually never watched that movie.
Oh.
See, that makes it count as new content, doesn't it?
Yes, it's a classic. Liffy's God says we have killer whales. Jaws sucks up you all. What's up, you all? Oh, okay. I guess you do have killer whales, don't you? Trey Courtney says I saw it in theaters when they released it in 2013. That was an experience.
Yeah.
Oh,
I also watched Dances with Wolves in the cinema. That was good.
Oh yeah.
And what else? Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Yeah.
And which wasn't that good, but it was good enough.
Yeah. It had Eddie Murphy. It's fine. It's entertaining. Meteor Advocate Timon says his first movie in the cinema was Mrs. Doubtfire. Great movie.
Oh, would get canceled today.
Oh hell yeah. R.I.P. Robin Williams. Oh, Meditech says yes. You need to see it. Mm-hmm. I saw it in the theater in '93 as a kid. Yeah, I was in college then. Trey Courtney, it was for the 20th anniversary at the time. Yes. All right. Our third roll. Oh, wait. Is that our third or our fourth?
What was it? Sleep? Favorite movie? Advice?
Oh, so it is the fourth. Yeah, because the last one was favorite movie. So this is the fourth.
Yeah.
What is the most annoying habit other people have?
It's asking questions during movies, and also asking questions that I'm just about to explain. You know, like you and Mara on D&D.
I was gonna say you start.
Yeah, I'm It's like, yeah, I'm about to explain the answer to that question in 10 seconds. If you hadn't interrupted me, madam.
Yeah, we'll be like, what does it look like? And you're like, you're like inhaling to tell us what it looked like.
Yeah.
Smacking while eating. Huh.
I don't know. And another thing is, well, habits. Uh,
Mm.
yeah,
I've
I
been
think
guilty.
also people who have to turn everything into some sort of self promotion.
Hmm.
Like me, always, no matter what the damn topic is.
Yeah. Yeah. Self promoting is, really annoying when you're sitting here trying to talk about something and, I'm just going to talk about, hey, I've got a video coming up. It's going to be tomorrow. No, it's like that was a
Yeah.
really badly landed joke because I was actually going to try to self promote, but I suck. So forget it. But I do
Yes.
understand self promotion because if you're selling something, especially when money's on the line, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But usually the timing's off.
Yeah.
It's like the topic is Ninja Turtles or something, and someone goes, "Yeah, I have a review of the new Captain Marvel coming out tomorrow." Like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Or the Ninja Turtles in it? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm probably
No, I know what
explaining
you
it.
mean. Well, because you realize that the person just is there to promote. They're not really there to talk. Meteor Advocate Timon says, asking for things when I'm busy and expecting me to drop everything to do that thing. I agree.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
I'll get to it, but not this second. Can you wait a few minutes? And that has to do with lack of respect for your time, all that good stuff. All right, now this is the fifth one. I'm doing better with my fingers on these. If you could travel back in time, when would you go to and why?
um, the '80s. Well, how would it work though? Would I be uh, like, would it be me traveling back to when I was 10 and being 10 years old, or would it be me going back as I am now to any time?
You can make up your own time traveling rules for this one.
Okay, I would go back to the '80s and invest a ton of money into Apple,
Hell yes.
and then bet all of it on Leicester City winning the Premier League in 2016, because the odds on that was sky high because they almost got relegated the year before. And then I'd spend all that money, well, buying shit I don't need, but also helping people that I know that need, to pay off their mortgage maybe or medical bills, what have you.
Oh,
I don't know.
that's fair. My answer says Tabone, Karl Marx hunting season. Yeah, we'd all be a lot better without communism. You would use the DeLorean, says Jigwan. Of course, it's the
Yeah,
only way.
yeah. I drive that one from time to time.
Aha. Trey Courtney, I'm going to the 80s and 90s and going to all the concerts. Oh, hell yeah. And seeing all the movies I love in theaters. Oh, that would be so cool.
But buying copies of the old ET or Atari game, which was so bad they took them off the shelves and they're buried somewhere in the desert. I'm not even kidding. And
Holy
if you have one, it's worth a lot of money.
damn. Well,
Yeah, but I wouldn't
okay.
need that though because I would have invested in Apple. So
Yeah. Oh, seeing Guns N' Roses for sure. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Damn right. Six. Roll six, rather. Oh, seeing Nirvana before Kurt died. Oh,
isn't it 5? No.
No, this is our sixth roll, and
Oh,
yeah. What would you do? Oh, this is kind of a similar because of what you said. What would you do with $1 million?
yeah. I'll just roll another one. I kind of
Yeah, let's
answered
do
it,
that.
didn't
Yeah,
I?
because you kind of already did. Yeah, we can do that. Tell me something on your bucket list.
Um, I don't have anything on my bucket list.
There's not one thing you want to do
No,
before you
I'm
die.
not a very demanding person, uh, believe it or not. Um,
Was there any place you'd like to see? Let's just pretend you didn't have to worry about flying or traveling or something. Is there somewhere in the world you'd like to see?
uh, I think it's more not necessarily what I see, but who I see it with,
Hmm.
right? Because you'd go with friends or something. But as a bucket list, um, not really.
Not very
I,
ambitious.
I, I no, I'm not that ambitious. Uh, uh,
Yeah. One thing on mine is see the northern lights,
well,
which you see all the time.
I did have on my bucket list to write a book and get it published, but then that shit just fell in my lap when I worked for that company. So it just happened, and it wasn't even. I just wrote stuff they wanted me to write, so it's kind of, and it wasn't a good experience either, so it kind of deflated the
Mm.
thing, But yeah, I don't know. A bucket list. Making a Sunday's D&D a special night for both you and Mara and Gravy. Lady Greymaster was joining.
Yay. Oh, well,
So
you're already
this
doing that.
is extra special next time. Just I don't know. I really don't. Actually, bucket list. Pressing the red button that detonates a nuke
What?
somewhere I don't like.
Okay. So you wouldn't want to go like see the Blackburn Rovers in the stadium?
No, they're,
Oh,
they're shit now.
oh gee, Mick, you are so unambitious. It's killing me.
Yeah, well, seriously though, they're playing like shit. It's not fun to watch them.
See, make a buck. Okay, fine. But actually, that's completely in character with who you are. Magitech says, "Well, Teresa in chat, y'all have a great night. I have to get going." Okay, well, thank you for being here, Magitech. We'll stay in touch.
Yeah, take care and be well.
Last but certainly not least,
No,
what's
notice
the
how she left right as I mentioned the nuke. That's when she fucked off. She's like, okay, I'm out. She's like, it might be my town he's thinking of or something.
What's the one thing you can't live without?
Books.
Mm,
I do. It's I've always been reading since I was a kid. Right. I was reading before other kids could read. That were my friends because I wanted to know what was going on in those Spider-Man comics, right?
yeah.
And yeah, it's um, if I had to pick just one medium of entertainment that I could do for the rest of my life, and I had to get rid of all the others, I would keep the books.
That makes sense because there's
Yeah.
so many
So
and you never run out.
yeah, and it's also very relaxing. But then again, I I don't think I could live without going hiking either. Because
Yeah.
you know what it looks like where I live.
I
You
know,
know,
and I'm jealous. It's
yeah.
paradise. A cold
So
paradise. Yeah, Trey says movies.
yeah,
I'll get to you in just a second, Gribbly, on this one. Soul Assassin says, always read to your kids when they are young to get them into reading and developing that inner voice. Damn right. Very important. Also
It,
sing
it,
to
it-
your children.
well, it's not just that. You're teaching them to use their imagination because they will be envisioning in their heads what's going on in the book.
Hmm.
So you're teaching them in a little way a form of creativity because the kids will also be thinking what's going to happen next
Yeah.
in between reading sessions.
Yeah. And critical thinking skills, all sorts of good things that transfer over to life skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what, this dwarf once said that, the mind needs books like a sword needs a whetstone.
Mm. Which dwarf was that?
Tyrion.
Oh, Book Tyrion, I'm hoping.
Both.
On
Said
both
it
of
in
them.
both.
Okay. Because before it sucked.
It was one of the early seasons where they actually stuck to the source material a bit.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, Gigawatt says, so would Stig be Henry Bemis from that Twilight Zone um, episode who has time to read but the books but can't? Yes, don't his glasses break, so he is unable to.
I never seen it. But
Yeah, that's the whole kind of horror moment. Is like
yeah,
he's
the thing is though, I buy books faster than I read them. I've been slowing down lately though, but it's
Mhm.
I still have like 100 books I haven't read.
Yeah.
I guess maybe, but it's yeah, I've read
Yeah.
too many books. But on the positive side of that, 20 years later, after you've read a book series, you don't remember much about it, so you can reread it and
Hmm.
enjoy it again.
Yeah. Or you can go to a library and find more books to read.
Yes. Well, I'm building a library.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that.
Yeah. Same here, Steve. I would ask my brother what was written in the comic book before but he would lie to me, so I learned to read so he wouldn't fool me. Hey,
Yeah.
that's yeah. Jigwatt says it is appropriate because a nuclear bomb goes off and he's the only survivor. So, Steve talked about a nuclear bomb. Oh, there we are. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. No, we
you
did.
know what would be funny if it's like news flash all over Twitter now, and then a nuke has gone off somewhere. I was
Yeah,
sitting there. Oh, it wasn't me. It wasn't
and
me.
it's like you admitted it. Oh dear. Okay, yeah, Gribbly, we did mention some of this earlier, but what are feelings about Feist, Gemmel, Howard, or Lieber? Or
I have not read Fritz Lieber. Um, I have not read much Gemmel yet either, but I do have a whole shelf of his books. I think I have the complete collection of all his stuff. I'll be getting to it. Maybe I'll start next year. Robert E. Howard is awesome, all kinds of awesome, and so is Feist. He did a great series, totally did, and he's done a new trilogy set in a new world, which is on my list of stuff to read next year.
yeah, yeah, I've bought them. I
But
just haven't read them. Yeah. New comment. Do it in Brazil. Yeah, he wants Brazil to go. Nothing will be lost. So I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Brazil sucks so bad. Um.
turn Brazil into a Brazilian with a nuke.
Oh
Sorry.
my gosh. Oh dear Steve. For fuck's sake. Oh yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this party. Thank you everyone who has been here for sharing and all that good stuff. Always good to see you and a great conversation. Lots of deep thoughts, a lot of recommendations, I think. So if you don't like some of the material that you're seeing right now, well, maybe you might find some more. So
But
Steve.
basically, if you're on a road and you're heading forward, right,
Mhm.
and the road's covered with a huge pile of shit, you can either wade through it and get covered in it, or you can turn around and go the other way.
Yeah, you are not wrong. So there you go. And I always recommend turn around. There's
Yeah, it's
plenty.
basically be clean or be covered in shit. It's up to you.
Yeah. And it's your choice. All right.
Very blunt analogy.
But it works, and that's what's important. So, Steve, where can we find you?
Mara's channel next week. We're doing another top 10. Top 10 favorite movies of 1981.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, speaking
that's
of
just, it's favorite movies, though, not the best. It's just our favorites.
Yeah.
So there will be nostalgia glasses on. Definitely.
Well, and speaking of what you went through when you talked about 1987, I mean, every year of the 80s was like that. So many movies.
Yeah. And like I said, compare it to what's come out lately. It's not even in the same ball game at all.
No. Nope. So yeah, that's where you'll find him, Steve, on Mara's channel, and then the good, the bad, and the weird, or the strange.
Yeah, I think that's the week after.
Mm-hmm.
I get stick for this every damn month from Mara because she expects me to remember, but then she shifted everything a bit in October for Halloween stuff. So I don't know. I'll just
Thanksgiving also messed up things.
Yeah. And I don't give a shit about your Thanksgiving or Halloween. We don't celebrate them. Well, we didn't get any turkey from the Native Americans. Well, those buggers never gave us shit.
Well, they never. I'm not even sure how much truth is in it anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, the Vikings discovered America, right?
Yeah.
Then we left.
Oh, dear.
Because those damn natives greedy as fuck. They didn't give us a damn thing, not even a turkey.
So. Okay, now, the opinions of Steve are nothing. Well, you know what? It was your fault. You actually went to, like, Georgia, okay? Wasn't it Georgia where they went, and then actually, technically, you went to Canada.
Brazil as well.
Oh, that's true.
No, yeah, they found Viking settlements in Brazil.
Yeah. He says no turkeys in South America. Canada. You all were in Canada, too. So blame the Canadians.
Oh, hell yes.
They
blame
gave us
Canada. South Park got it right.
Yeah.
Stroking their lumbers up there in the forest.
Gigawatt says they gave us maize steak. Well, there you go.
No, doesn't count.
And then 87 precedes me by 3 years. Yeah. Stig's people discovered America, says Soul Assassin, and Columbus used their maps to discover it. Seems like Vikings are owed big time.
Yeah, who were also the first to reach the South Pole, despite us being the longest from it. And also, a Norwegian was the first one to traverse the Northwestern Passage, I think. What else? Oh, here's a biggie. Here's something a lot of you owe us for.
Oh, great.
Norwegian commandos prevented the Nazis from developing nuclear weapons before the United States got them.
That is true, and we do not appreciate that as much as we should.
Yeah, that was a turning point, because if the Mustache Man had nuclear weapons, I suspect England and France and Russia would have had a few bad years there, and maybe the east coast of the U.S. as well.
Yeah. Let Columbus take the blame for America.
Yeah. We didn't fuck it up.
Yeah. Well, to be fair,
we just left.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just went there and like, oh, there's a bunch of hippie liberals here. Let's leave.
Oh no. That's fake news. Oh dear. All right. Well, you can find me here in Miss Smart Music, where I talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. One of these days, I'm going to get back to more streaming. I had to wait till the construction was over, and now that it is, I will be a little more free to stream some of my We the People, some Catholic explaining. Going to be coming up with Catholic explaining Advent. Also, got some videos I'm wanting to roll out here, and so stay tuned. I got the new, the letters of J.R. Tolkien, the expanded and revised versions. Also, some sweet roll recipes, some cooking, some Norwegian. What is it you gave me? That caviar in a can, oh, in a tube. I made some sandwiches with that, made some videos on that if you want to see. And, oh dear, everyone's laughing at you. Oh, and sometimes you'll see me popping up on Sporkings talking about the Song of Ice and Fire. And STIG will be there as well often and talking about the connections with the Norwegian lore that apparently George R. R. Martin incorporated. So we shall see. Teach us how to make the sweet rolls from Skyrim, Teresa. Oh, well, wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you know? That is exactly what I have. You know what? I might go ahead and drop that one. Oh, for crying out loud, Maple Leaf. I might go ahead and try that one, drop it this week in time for Thanksgiving for all your relatives, because I think it would be really good. We did enjoy it. That one's ready to go. So stay tuned for some sweet rolls. Gosh darn it, they're good. So that's it. And I need to move my cat. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And be certain to look backwards and find some entertainment that brings you joy.
And don't accept turkey.